My name is Omar, and for the last 4 years, I've been delivering groceries for a same-day delivery app. It's not the best money in the world, but I needed the flexible hours. This story is about what happened on Willow Route, and I think about it every night. I still check my back seat before starting the car. I still wake up at 3 a.m., hearing that soft whisper from behind me. Anyway, let me take you back. It was a slow Tuesday, around 9 p.m., when a batch came in, 3 stops. 2 were normal houses. The last one was a new address I'd never seen before, 132B, Willow Bend Lane. It didn't even have a profile picture, just a name, Mrs. H. No first name or instructions, nothing. I almost declined it, but the payout was quite high for a small order of milk, bread, and some candles. Normally, that should have been my first red flag. But money makes you stupid sometimes. I accepted it. The first 2 deliveries were quick. Friendly people, normal houses. I didn't even think about the last stop until my GPS said, "In 600 feet, your destination is on the left." When I turned onto Willow Bend Lane, everything changed. The air felt thicker, like I'd driven into a different temperature zone. All the houses looked abandoned. No lights, no cars, just old porches and peeling paint. And then I saw it. 132B wasn't a house. It was a tiny, narrow structure, squeezed between 2 regular homes, almost like someone took a storage shed and stretched it upward. A dim orange bulb flickered above the door. I parked in front, grabbed the grocery bag, and walked up the uneven stone path. With every step, I felt something watching me. I knocked, but nothing. I knocked again, this time louder, and still nothing. I turned around, thinking maybe I should just leave it at the door, when I heard the old wooden floor inside creak, like someone shifting their weight. Then, a voice soft, shaky, like an elderly woman called out, "Come inside, dear. I can't reach the door." Every instinct in my body screamed, "No," but the tone sounded so gentle and helpless. I replied, "I can leave it here if you want." Her voice came again, this time closer. "No, dear. Can you please bring it inside?" Something about the way she said "please" made me uncomfortable, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. I pushed the door open. The smell hit me instantly, stale air mixed with something sweet, almost rotten. The place had one long hallway with no decorations at all, and only candles along the walls. The flickering shadows made everything look haunted. I called out, "Ma'am, your order?" This time her voice came from deep inside the house, and now it didn't sound old at all. She asked me if I could leave the bag in the kitchen. I couldn't see her. At this point, I should have left, but I took a few steps forward, holding the bag like a shield. The floorboards creaked under my feet, each one louder than the last. Halfway down the hallway, I noticed something. There were no pictures on the walls, no furniture, and no shoes by the door. This wasn't someone's home. When I reached the end of the hallway, I found a small room lit only by a candle. I could see a woman sitting in a wooden chair, facing the wall, her long black hair almost touching the floor. Her skin was so pale, she was sitting perfectly still. "Your order, ma'am?" I said. My voice was shaking. She didn't move. I asked again, "Ma'am, your order." Still nothing. I put the bag on a small round table next to her and started walking back. At this point, she turned her head slowly, but not all the way, just enough for me to see only one eye. One wide, wet eye staring at me like she knew everything about me, where I lived and what I feared. Her lips didn't move, but I heard her voice again. "You shouldn't have come inside." That was it. I start running towards the door. As I ran down the hallway, the candle flames suddenly rose taller, almost like they were reaching for me. The temperature dropped. I could see my breath. Something behind me whispered my name, Omar, but I didn't look back. I burst through the front door and jumped into my car. I locked the doors and sped off without looking at the house again. But when I checked my mirror, there was someone standing on the porch. Someone very tall, with long arms that reached the ground. My heart nearly stopped. I blinked, and it was gone. I drove straight home. I tried reporting the address to the app, but that address didn't exist. The order disappeared from my history. My earnings showed no record of that trip. I checked Google Maps. 132B Willow Bend Lane wasn't listed. It was like the whole thing was removed overnight. I thought maybe I had imagined everything, until the next morning, when I found something in my back seat. A candle, the same kind they had in that hallway. It was burned halfway down, and there was a note attached to it. "You left too quickly. Next time I will make sure you stay longer." I moved apartments a week later, switched delivery zones, changed my phone number, but it didn't matter. Every night, around 9 p.m., I hear tapping on my window. 3 taps, and sometimes a whisper too. "Come inside, dear." My name is Malik, and I used to do late-night food deliveries to earn extra cash for college. I thought I'd seen everything. Drunk frat boys, half-naked customers, people arguing loudly on speakerphone. But nothing prepared me for the night I stopped for that woman in the rain. Something about her felt wrong from the very beginning. It was a stormy Tuesday night. Not just rain, but heavy, pounding rain that sounded like gravel hitting the windshield. The wind was pushing the car sideways, and lightning was flashing often. I had finished my last delivery and was driving back when I saw her. A woman, standing inside a broken bus shelter. Her clothes were completely drenched, hair stuck to her face, no phone in her hand, no bag. She was just standing there with her back turned towards the road. At first, I didn't think twice. People wait for buses at weird hours all the time. But then she turned her head slowly and looked directly at my car as I passed. Not at me, at my car, like she already knew I would stop. Something in my chest tightened. I remember saying out loud, "You're not picking her up. Keep driving." The moment I said that, my phone pinged with a delivery order. "A new customer and pickup time says now," and the drop-off. On street right behind the bus shelter. I accepted the order because it was close. When I looked into my rear-view mirror, the woman was gone. The shelter was empty. I picked up the food, fried chicken and fries, and drove toward the drop-off location. The closer I got, the heavier the rain became, like the storm was trying to push me towards something. The address was a small old house. There were no lights on. The curtains were drawn tight, and the porch light was flickering weakly, barely glowing through the rain. Customer instructions said, "Leave food on porch, don't knock." What does that even mean? I parked the car, ran through the rain, and put the bag on the porch. The moment I stood up, I felt it, a presence, behind me, not touching me, just there. My whole body locked up. I didn't dare turn around. Then I remembered the instructions, and that's when I felt something drip onto my ear. Something thicker, warm, like breath. Very slowly, I backed away down the steps without looking up. Rain hammered all around me, and I could hear the thunder somewhere close. When I reached the bottom of the steps, I heard a soft tapping sound above me, like long fingers drumming on wood. I reached the car door, pulled it open, and jumped inside. The moment I closed the door, I heard it clearly. On my car window. It was soft, like someone asking to come in. I didn't look. I put the car in drive and floored it. When I finally reached the main road, I checked my phone. There was a message from the customer. "She follows the ones who look up." My entire body went numb. I didn't respond. I didn't want to acknowledge whatever that was. The next day, I drove back to see the house again, maybe to prove to myself that I overreacted, or convince myself it was just someone pranking me. When I arrived, the house looked abandoned. The porch was half collapsed, the windows boarded up, and grass was waist-high. There was no flickering light, and no signs of life. I knocked on a neighbor's door and asked about the house. Neighbor asked me, "That place?" He told me that no one's lived there for over 15 years. He told me, "A woman died there during a storm. She'd been waiting at the bus shelter when a car hit her. People say she goes back there on rainy nights." I felt my stomach twist. The neighbor lowered his voice. She follows anyone who looks up at her. That's how she finds her way into their homes. I didn't work for a week after that night. I slept with the lights on. I kept thinking about the tapping on my window, the whisper, the presence on the porch, the warm drip on my ear. I knew I was lucky that I didn't look up, but the story doesn't end there. 2 weeks later, another storm hit. Same kind of rain and winds, same bus shelter route. But this time I told myself, you're driving straight home, no deliveries or stops. But when I reached the bus shelter, I saw her again. I can see her feet were hovering inches above the ground, her head tilted at an unnatural angle, her soaked hair hiding her face. I screamed and slammed the gas. The tires slipped on the wet road, and I nearly skidded into a ditch. I kept driving without breathing. And then, the sound came from the back window. I didn't dare look. I kept my eyes forward. 3 taps, faster this time. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear the rain anymore. When I reached home, I grabbed my bag and ran to the door without locking the car. I didn't even turn off the engine. Inside, I stood in the living room, my clothes dripping, my hands shaking. And then, from outside, I heard my car door shut, like someone got out. A moment later, on my front window, very slowly, almost playful, my phone buzzed and a new message. It was from an unknown number. You looked at her, didn't you? I almost collapsed. Someone knocked on my door. 3 slow knocks, the same rhythm as the tapping. I backed away into the hallway. There was another knock, and then a soft dragging sound, like wet shoes sliding across wood. The last message came in seconds later. She's inside your house now. My lights flickered, and in the reflection of my dark TV screen, for 1 second, I saw her standing behind me, hair covering her face and head tilted. I ran out of the back door barefoot into the rain and didn't stop until I reached the neighbor's house. I called the police. When they checked my house, no one was inside, but every window had 3 long streaks on them, like fingers. I moved across the state. I don't deliver food. I don't even drive past bus shelters when it rains. But sometimes, late at night, I hear tapping on my bedroom window, 3 slow taps, and a woman's soft whisper, "Look up at me." I never do. I don't think I'd survive it if I did. It was a Friday shift, cold, windy, and unusually quiet. I was doing late-night deliveries because the pay was higher. At around 11:40 p.m., I got an order for a house far out of town. The app showed a note under the order saying, "Please don't knock. Please don't ring the bell. Leave the food on the small table inside the front door. The door will be unlocked." Weird, but not the weirdest thing I've seen. I accepted the order and drove out. Birch Hollow Road looked like an old movie set. No streetlights, tall trees leaning over the road like they were listening. The house itself was big and old with dark windows and a porch that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in a long time. I parked the car, grabbed the food, and climbed the creaking steps. There were no lights on, just a faint glow from inside the cracked front door. Another note appeared on the app. "Do not knock. Do not speak. Do not look around." The door was already slightly open. I pushed it gently. Inside the hallway, there was a small, round wooden table where the customer said it would be. I put the food down, and that's when I heard it. A whisper behind me, very close. It wasn't a word, more like someone breathing right next to my ear. I froze. I told myself it was just the house making noises. Old houses do that. But then I heard it again. A slow, shaky inhale, followed by whispering. Not one voice, several. Like a crowd trying to stay quiet. I didn't turn around. I didn't want to. Every hair on my body was standing. Then I heard footsteps, but not walking. More like someone dragging their feet across the wooden floor deeper inside the house. Slow, deliberate, growing closer. My body reacted before my brain did. I slowly stepped back toward the door, still not turning around. Something inside me was screaming, "Don't look, don't look, don't look." As I reached the threshold, the air behind me suddenly felt colder. The whispering grew louder, mixed with a trembling voice that sounded like a woman crying. I didn't bother closing the door. I took one step outside, and something tapped my shoulder. Softly. Not a grab, not a pull, just one gentle tap, like someone trying to get my attention. My heart nearly exploded. I jumped off the porch and hit the ground harder than I expected. I got up, ran to my car, and slammed the door shut. I locked the car and started the engine so fast I almost broke the key. When I looked up, the front door of the house was wide open, and there were shapes inside the hall. Not bodies, not clear figures, just outlines, like shadows that didn't match anything real. They were all facing me, all still, all silent. I pressed the accelerator as hard as I could. I didn't care about the speed limit. I just wanted to get off that road. Halfway back to town, my phone buzzed. It was a message from the customer. I didn't want to read it, but something made me unlock my phone. The message said, "Thank you for the food. Never look behind you in that house. And don't accept deliveries from Birch Hollow Road again. People who turn around, don't walk out." I blocked the number immediately. The next night, I was scrolling through local news and saw something that made my stomach drop. The house on Birch Hollow Road had burned down earlier that evening. No one lived there. No one had lived there for 18 years. The article mentioned a family who died in that house, parents and 4 children. There were no survivors. The fire investigators said the place had been abandoned ever since. But someone, something, ordered food from there. And something had whispered behind me. And I thank God every day that I didn't turn around.
If you like the video, subscribe for more.